to slide number 3, yes, the next one, and click on the link. So this is a demonstration of the flywheel effect. Thank you, Mohan. You have earned your salary. But bottom line is, this is what I believe the economy of Kerala needs. You've had people pushing it. It's gone, it's stopped, you pushed. So you have had thousands of people pushing it. It needs more people pushing it in that one direction. And it will reach, hopefully, this stage where it can break through and go on its own. So that's one point I want to illustrate. Can we go to the next slide, please? So I want to just touch upon why entrepreneurship in Kerala. It's a very obvious answer, but a few points I want to make. One is the central role it plays in job creation. In the US and in all Western countries, all net new jobs are from entrepreneurs, which means that large corporations hire, fire, etc., consolidate. There is no net new jobs. All of that, I think close to 80% is the average, comes from entrepreneurial ventures. So that's why it's important. Then if you consider who are the stakeholders involved, who would benefit? If you look at various groups, there's not only customers. You have the government that is getting taxes. You have people who are employed who are then again paying taxes, employing other people, etc. So the whole community is invested, right? So you have everybody is a stakeholder in entrepreneurship. The third point, which I think bears focus on, is that it resides outside government boundaries. Anything that is within government is something which I would not encourage, something that you should count on, because it goes on its own pace. So therefore, anything that can be done outside government is what is really going to work. And in the morning few speakers spoke about leapfrogging technologies, which means that a technology that can skip generations. A good example is mobile technology. Right, so you had, when India and Kerala in specific was very difficult to get a phone connection about 20, 30 years ago. When I grew up, getting a phone connection took 6 months. And that is because the lines were not in place. But all that frankly does not matter now because of mobile phones. Anybody can have a mobile phone. Right, so because of that you don't need to Kerala or India does not have to invest in all the infrastructure in those things, because technology has leaped forward so fast that we can now jump into mobile and cloud, etc. And I'm sure all of you have read the book of Thomas Friedman of the Flat World. That is what internet has done. Internet has removed intermediaries from almost every transaction. And because of that, the playing field is really being leveled. You can actually start a company for a few $1,000s, 50,000 rupees or a lakh rupees. You can actually start a company that is profitable, that will employ 5 people. Right? Now that's impossible 10 or 15 years ago, because you had to buy equipment, you had to buy applications, etc. Now all of them are available. There are freewares available that can be taken and made into what you need. So therefore cost is a major factor. Competition too, because of social media, you can actually compete pretty much on an equal playing field. If you're smart and use the right strategies, you can do that. And finally, the free flow of ideas, and this is what has been happening when people from the US go back to India. I know a few friends who have actually gone back, successful entrepreneurs, who have gone back, set up companies, mostly in Cochin, but also in Toronto and other places. Right? So what they're doing is, when they go back there, they are creating a small ecosystem where they have employees that they're training, and therefore that's something that is again going to kick, the momentum is going to build up from there. And finally, I mentioned in the morning that culturally it was difficult to pursue entrepreneurship 20, 30 years ago. Now, because of the fact that they are role models, they're role models not only at a national level, but even at the state level. You have plenty of role models. Therefore, now when a child wants to be an entrepreneur, the chances are that the parents would not frown upon it, they may even support it. So therefore, now I believe the climate is right for entrepreneurship in Kerala. I want to just give one quick example of a public-private partnership that I came across in Startup Village, Kochi, where I actually, when I travel, I mentor there for a day at the startup school that they have there. So this is what it is. It is in Kochi. It's basically started with the pooling of resources between the federal government, central government, the state government, business and individuals. It's a boot camp style startup weekend format, those of you who know. They have one anchor faculty and other mentors like me who just go in and mentor the entrepreneurs. And they have some diaspora engagement, so they also connect with people who are living in Middle East, US, to be investors, etc. So this is how it looks. The model is local businesses. You have the startup village supported by local businesses. You have the government. You have connection with some schools and colleges and diaspora community, which is basically the non-resident Malayalis, or NRKs as they call it. So here's a case study. There's a company, I don't have the permission to use the name, so I'm just mentioning it as a case study. So there are 4 founders. They did not have any money to put down together. So at the startup village, they got a shared office space. They had some basic grant. They had free PR and publicity done by the village. Next slide, please. And all they got was a small capital of $15,000, which is basically a grant from the government and a few angel investors. Couple of eight. So, and they have their 2-year, or I think it's 2.5-year revenue is about $125,000, which in Indian terms is fairly good, considering that they have only 15 full-time employees. So this is at a micro level as to how, through support from different aspects of the ecosystem, we can have one company take off that can give 15 paying jobs. Right now, I'm sure there are other examples like this, but this is one example. I was involved with them. Do you have the next slide? And this is my involvement. That's the reason I came to know of them. And you can just do the next couple of slides. So this person is actually he's an American. He's an American who's gone to the startup village, and he's been doing he's the anchor faculty there. And he's doing it actually not for a salary. He's doing it just because he wanted to give back. And the lady in between is the one who manages the program there. Slide. And I also did a joint session at Cochin University where I had the students from the village come to the MBA program at Cochin University, and they had an interactive session on entrepreneurship. So all I can tell you is that the time is ripe for entrepreneurship in Kerala. And I would like to hear from 2 speakers who are connected with Kerala, themselves and their organizations. I would like you to tell us a little bit about what you're doing, what do you feel, and what do you feel we as a group can do to help this flywheel take off. I'll first invite Baby John Shaji, followed by Ajay Prasad.
Thank you so much. My name is Baby John. I'll just explain what I'm doing right now in Kerala. I'm working on a project in Kerala that focuses on developing reliable off-grid power solutions, making use of multiple sources of renewable energy that is suitable for the particular location taking into consideration the purpose and usage. The goal is to provide an uninterruptible power supply to remote villages in India that is without power, as well as to semi-urban areas facing frequent power shortages, and also for agricultural, farming, and small-scale industries. The equipments are in knockdown condition or knockdown units, which can be mobile and erected at short notice, so it can be used for emergency centers. The control systems are placed in mobile containers. These Power and Life containers container project is being set up in collaboration with a German technology company. Right now, I'm here not to offer any suggestions to the discussion taking place here, but to take back ideas and technologies that are being implemented here and discussed here, which can benefit me in my future venture in India. Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's the post-lunch session, so I'll try to keep it as short and sweet as possible. Thank you, Suresh, for setting up a wonderful introduction to this topic. Let me first of all tell you, a little bit was spoken about what my firm is doing in Kerala. I can't unfortunately call it my own venture just yet as an entrepreneur, but I work with this German-American private equity firm called Taurus Investment Holdings. We are a 40-year-old company founded in Munich but headquartered in Boston. Most relevant is that we are a truly international company. We operate across 8 countries on 4 continents, and our latest addition to our portfolio is India. Maybe because I'm a little biased, but we are the first global private equity firm to set up office outside Bombay, Delhi and Bangalore. We are headquartered in Trivandrum, so we are now truly a Kerala company as well. What we're doing right now is to a lot of the for example, Suresh spoke earlier about the need for business infrastructure to kind of provide not just the substrate for entrepreneurship, but also for large-scale information technology, service sector employment into Kerala. We're trying to add a little bit of value there. We are developing a mixed-use project inside Technopark in Trivandrum, which will bring in about 3.5 million square feet of mixed-use space. One of the big, gaps we found in Technopark was there were a lot of good office space options. There were 55,000 people working there. Trivandrum now accounts for about 70% of IT in Kerala, but unfortunately still only about 1% of the IT industry in India. There are 55,000 people working there. It's going to be 100,000 in about 2 years, but there is no social infrastructure. There's offices and then there's nothing else. So after you get out of office, there's nothing you do, and on weekends as well. So we are adding what we call a town center or an urban nucleus into Technopark, which will include retail, will include convention facilities, will include hotels. But also, along with that, we are adding about 1.5 million square feet of office space, which will be a mix of mostly SEZ office space and about 300,000 square feet of non-SEZ office space. But also importantly, to speak to this topic, we are also trying to bring in an incubator into this facility. Taurus has a very long history of supporting incubation across the world. We already run 2 very large research and development parks. One is in Tampa, which is in association with the University of Central Florida, and the other is in Buenos Aires, which is in association with the Universidad Austral there. We are trying to bring in, and to speak to the point earlier about the City University of New York, we are trying to bring in some of our institutional partners. We have a very strong relationship with MIT. I am an alumnus of MIT, as are some of our partners. So we're trying to bring in institutions like MIT, University of Toronto, and so on to be partners in this this whole incubation facility. But we are also trying to bring in some of the leading technology companies in the world, because what we feel that the essential components to any incubation ecosystem is not the space, It's not just having, a lot of marketing and, as is going on in Kerala these days, but it's to have a viable knowledge ecosystem which will support, as one of the speakers was earlier talking about, there are a lot of entrepreneurs out there. Why are there no academicians bringing in knowledge into that? So that is something that we're trying to propagate through our project. We are very India focused. We want to do additional projects across India, but Kerala for right now is a strong focus area. I think the thing that I would like to leave you with is that entrepreneurship is very important, and we have very good examples in Kerala. For example, there are companies which have been incubated and established in Kerala decades ago. For example, US Technology or IBS. US Technology today employs 14,000 people across the world. They are no longer a tiny firm, they're a huge technology company. IBS makes logistics solutions for almost every airline you can think of. So there are very strong examples of successful entrepreneurship in Kerala, and a lot of these companies were started off by folks who came in from outside. Keralites who returned from abroad and kind of brought those models there. But I also think that entrepreneurship works best when it's mixed with, there is a second kind of entrepreneurship that people don't talk about. It's entrepreneurship, where that, large companies, the IBMs and the GEs of the world also encourage, entrepreneurship by their employees, also encourage research. You have the IBM labs, which are world famous. That's also something that Kerala needs to focus on. My final message is that, we've spoken a lot about, Kerala's most value-added exports being spices and whatnot. I strongly disagree. I think Kerala's most value-added exports are what you can see inside this room. It's human resources, it is the great people that we have sent out into the world, the world-famous diaspora of Kerala, and also the sort of intellectual capital we have sent out. So I think that is what we need to bring in, and I think the organizers and this whole initiative should look at doing that, bringing back people, bringing back information, bringing back intellectual capital to Kerala, because that's our real value add for the world. Thank you.
Is Sibi here? Sibi Vadakekara, who is supposed to be the anchor speaker for the session. Sibi is here, Dr. Thomas?
Yeah.
Okay. So, as he comes and settles in, I just wanted to set the stage for the Q&A by asking some questions or maybe just jogging some thoughts, which is my experience has been people or the entrepreneurs in Kerala, especially in Startup Village, one of the skills that they really need a lot is how to tell their story, right? They have an idea, but how do you tell it in a way that is compelling to a customer or an investor? That I found is a big gap. They have a good idea and you really got extracted out of them. And that is, in the US, frankly, it is going to be difficult for them to survive with that, right? So you got to develop the skill of being able to tell your story in a way that is authentic, that is compelling, and that can really make somebody, either a new employee join them or an investor give them money. So that is a gap I've found. I was just wondering what your thoughts would be on how can that skill be inculcated among the entrepreneurship, the young entrepreneurs in Kerala. Anybody wants to share? You can feel free to come to the mic and speak.
Okay, let me take a quick crack at that. I agree completely, and as I was mentioning earlier, some of the founders of Startup Village are actually juniors of mine in college. Now, there is definitely a soft skill gap that we perceive there, and I think one aspect is storytelling. The other is in terms of providing professional and structured management. I mean, people believe that you can start a startup in a garage and it becomes Microsoft overnight. Of course, it does not. I think a lot of young people back in Kerala have technical skills. They're really good at it, but taking that idea to a marketable proposition is missing, and I think that's one of the things that the diaspora can bring in terms of mentorship. What Suresh is doing is a great example, and I think there needs to be hundreds and thousands more like you. And it's not in today's day and age. You do not need to be spending 8 months in Kerala in the boondocks to kind of do this. You can even do it remotely. But I think, as I was, again, not to belabor my final point in my short cameo, I think moving that experience, the experience in this room and among the thousands of experienced Kerala origin professionals out there in the world back to Kerala is what matters. We have the brain power, we have the smart young people there. I think they just need to be given that one crucial bridge to get across to the professional world, because very simply they have not been exposed to it. I mean, IT services industries in Kerala per se are probably 10 to 15 years old. I mean, Technopark is 25 years old, and that is as early as it went. So they've still not been exposed to the kind of things that all of you all have been seeing for the last 30, 40, 50 years. So I think we need to take that back.
Some good points there, and I just want to mention that some way that all of us can help. Frankly, when we go back to Kerala, whatever it is, once a year, once in a few years that we go back, if you could just take a few hours out to mentor in one of these, either a startup village or somebody that you know who has entrepreneurial intentions. If you can do that, I think it'll be a big help, right? And that's what I try to do. Most visits, I just take half a day out and I go to startup village, and I try to spend time with as many entrepreneurs that I can add value to. So if you, and all of you have expertise in a certain area, other way you can do it is that if you have some capital to invest, and we're not talking about big money, we're just talking about maybe a few lakh rupees. That's all we need to get some of these guys, because I met with a few group of people who, frankly, out of college, they are having no salary, they have no support from their family, and it is extremely difficult for them to just have their day-to-day livelihood. So all they needed was that few $1,000s kind of investment that will help them at least gain a footing or a floor beneath them from where they can then grow. So these are options that you may want to just keep in mind. And if the new Kerala initiative.com is one of my suggestions was that if we can be that bridge where we can connect NRIs, NRKs who are visiting Kerala and set them up with opportunities to mentor, meet, invest, etc., I think that would really be a big blessing. I would like to then invite Sibi Vadakekara, who is the CEO and founder of a company called Mar Labs. Mar Labs has done business with my company, but I have not met with Sibi till now. I will ask him to come up and share some thoughts about how he built a successful company in the US, and also with respect to Kerala, if he has any thoughts. I'm not sure if Mar Lab has an operation in Kerala, but I'm sure you have your personal experience. If you could share, what do you think would be some of the ideas that could propel Kerala forward? Sibi.
So good afternoon, and thank you for having me for this event. It's a lot of hard work for the organizers to come up with these kind of events and really understand the hard work behind it. So I think there is a force for there is a force from nature that youngsters need to start their own business today, and the fundamental reason is automation. So if you look at the time we are in, there is directly there is tremendous amount of automation and technology that's changing our lives. 20 years from today, all the cars will be driverless. Your phone become an extension of your arm, and then the amount of data that's going to be collected and the technology that you can apply to change the world is tremendous. So the opportunity for the kids who are in their teenagers or in their youth are empowered to impact the world, more than ever in our history. So which means a child living in a village in Cochin got access to the same academic curriculum about machine learning at Stanford, which never happened in the entire history of mankind. So the power is moving into the individuals and communities if they can create something that could disrupt the world. So it's going to happen whether you like it or not, and I hope events like this create more interest and opportunity for those changes to happen. One of my thoughts about Kerala, when I was growing up there, especially when I was in my high school and college days, the thinking was more left. You know, I don't support either of the parties or politicians or anything, but just from an observation as a teenager, there were red flags all over the place. The leftist thinking was permeating the society. When you look at today, and if you look at 20, 30 years towards the future, you know, the automation drive is amazing, the opportunities are great, but where do you find the jobs? In 10 to 20 years, all the cars are automated, so you don't need drivers. Your supply chain from a retail is going to extend to your home. So you don't need grocery folks, you don't need laborers. Everything is automated at an alarming pace. So this leftist mindset, I was just thinking about it when I was at Harvard last week, where capitalism is more about, you know, changing the existing paradigm and creating wealth. But if you look at the people within that ecosystem is not taken care of, how can it be sustained? So when I was growing up as a teenager, there was a rubber tapper in our village who asked my dad, Karl Marx said, eventually capitalism failed to create enough jobs. And it still resonates in my mind today. And I hope all of you entrepreneurs and startups look at people at the center and make sure there is enough room and opportunities for people to survive, grow, and succeed. The reason being is that next generation, there ain't going to be enough jobs. And the people who can create are all entrepreneurs. And I hope you get this message into the format Kerala entrepreneurs are doing. And thank you so much. Have a great evening.
I just wanted to make one comment, which I did make when, a few years ago, when Mr. Manchanda, who was then, I think, the opposition, had come and we had started an organization which Mr. Abraham is also here, called KITA, Kerala IT Alliance. And one of the comments that I made, which he liked because he came up and mentioned about it, is that technology, there is a close link between technology and the Communist manifesto. And I wonder whether you've thought about it, which is the Karl Marx, one of his central tenets was that the worker should own the means of production. Now in technology, the means of production is actually the IT worker, and it is in his head. It resides in his head. So therefore, technology workers are, frankly, they represent exactly the statement that Karl Marx wanted. Right? So, in fact, Kerala should embrace technology more than any other state. So therefore, I think technology has a natural alliance or has a natural home in Kerala. The question, I think, will revolve around this whole thing of developing the right ecosystem and building the momentum, etc., that we spoke about before. But I'm opening up the question.
So the point that I should bring also is that our venture is a public-private partnership. So we're working with the government of Kerala because the land is on a 90-year lease from the government. It took us the better part of 2 years to get from proposal to securing the land. Now, I would not say that's a Kerala-specific issue. That's the case with any large project anywhere in the world. I mean, we have actually spent 8 to 9 years on similar projects in Boston. So it's not a big deal. I think issues that are there, which I have encountered, there are some systemic issues. One is the fact that the system, the government, the decision-making system is quite outdated in the sense that key decision makers are not up to the times. So they do not understand today's business models, they do not understand today's industries. I mean, today, even today, electronics for them probably means condensers, vacuum tubes and transformers, not to belittle any of that. But I think the issue that, I think what organizations like this can do is to engage with key decision makers at the political level or at the bureaucratic level and help them understand that the world has changed and the way of doing business and the kind of businesses that are interested in Kerala have completely changed. And you cannot do business today as you were doing earlier. I always quote this one example that till about 4.5 years ago, India was regulating fiber optic internet and mobile telephony using the Indian Telegraph Act of 1857. So a lot of that is still around.
I think the reason we picked Bangalore over Kerala, I started this several years ago, and one of the reasons was I looked at Kerala as a place to go and relax, not work. So I kept our offices away from Kerala. I could spend time with my family and relax there. That was the initial thinking, but I think the fundamental thought at that point of time was the best talent in Kerala are always outside. At those days, that was a wrong way of looking at it. And we looked at, at that time, the NASCOM report was the best talent in India are basically in Chennai and Pune. You get the best education, the best qualified, some level of discipline and rigor in the work. So that influenced us to look at other locations. But we just started a center in Cochin last year. And a lot of people from Bangalore and our Pune facilities are moving back to Cochin. Because the quality of life improved, enough restaurants and other activities for engineers. And it's changing and it's having a big impact. Also from a cost standpoint, I think it's very competitive. And when I compare with our resources in Mexico or LATAM, if there is a soccer game, they are gone. You can't find them to do the work. Whereas in Cochin, they will stay late night and get it done. They may be out for a few days, but they will get it done. So that cultural difference, surprisingly, it was very, very impressive. So I think it's just the beginning of the process.
So I think Sibi's answer also reinforces what I mentioned in the morning regarding physical infrastructure. Things like restaurants, nightclubs, apartments, and other adventure kind of places is required to attract right engineers. And that will help companies like Sibi's. And I had the same experience what Sibi is mentioning when I set up my company in Chennai. So we are all folks who are having a strong bond with Kerala. We would like to come back to Kerala and have it set up there. But it was not when we started our companies. Now things are changing and we are open to the option of setting up things there. Any other questions to the panelists?